Every week we do a Q&A with interesting and accomplished members of the adaptive community to find how they persevered, how they innovated, how they built communities, and how they found solutions. Welcome to the Nametags Chat Podcast. Welcome to the Nametags Chat Podcast, where we talk with interesting and accomplished members of the adaptive community. Today, we have my good friend, Liam Flanagan. Liam, interesting story. He is actually on a college tour right now. So he's in California. He said that he wants to go for someplace warm right now. So we'll see how that works out for Liam. He actually brought me to his school at Andover High School this past year. We did a name tags presentation there. So it's really appropriate to have Liam doing a name tags podcast right now. He just finished his wrestling season, broke his nose during the wrestling season. He is a student advocate with the Disability Alliance. He has been working with Congressman Moulton. We're going to talk about a bunch of these things, but Liam, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, thank you.
This is awesome. So I want to get back actually just a little bit before this whole thing, because I know that you and my father actually had a pretty good bond because you started monoskiing with my father. And it was a bit of a dicey decision in some ways, right? Because back then, whether you were going to be able to monoski, whether you were not, and you and he kind of pushed it forward and made it happen, it sounds like.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yeah, he was the first one that actually believed in my monoskiing path, pushed me off the hill, pushed me, getting me back up if I fall down. The faith, the patience on that man is just saint-like. It's magical.
Well, he actually was there with me when I first learned to monoski, and we did not go to a program. We thought we could figure it out ourselves. So he was often trailing behind me, holding on to the seat on his ski boots without his skis on so that he could slow me down and direct me. And then we get to a wide open space and say, okay, let's see what you can do. Let's see if you can make it work. So if I didn't have anything to run into, it seemed like it could be relatively okay. How much did that experience, though, of learning to monoski, when a lot of people thought, I mean, you're a guy with cerebral palsy, when people thought that you might not be able to do it, how much did that help push you into some of the other things that you've done recently?
I actually started skiing when I was like 3, stand-up skiing, and then I hated it. My knees started collapsing. It's cold, and my baby self is like, I need my waffles and hot chocolate, and I quit. And then I did ski hockey for a little while. And then my mom was talking to the ski hockey moms, and
ski hockey. So what's ski hockey?
Ski hockey is when you sit down, you have two.
So like the sled hockey.
I'm the most athletic, non-athletic person. I'm sorry. What is the thing that you hit the puck with?
The sticks, right? So you've got the sticks. So this is sled hockey that you're talking about. Okay, that we've seen like on the Paralympics and stuff. Okay. Yeah.
You have 2 sticks. They have spikes at the bottom, and you push on the ice while sitting down, and then you flip to the hitting side, and you whack the puck, and then you stop by just slamming the ice very violently. And then you repeat, hit, push, violent stop.
And sometimes I'd imagine for me, I have actually never played it, but the violent stop for me probably would be when I'm running into the boards at the end. Not hitting anyone, just running in myself.
Honestly, me too. It's 50-50. It's a learning experience, for sure. So my mom was talking to the ski hockey moms, and they're like, oh my God, Liam should do skiing. And my mom's like, he has, and he hated it. It didn't work out. And he just can't do standing up. And they're like, standing up. What are you even thinking with standing up? We're talking about sitting down. And just mind-blowing experience. And she was like, hey Liam, do you want to do skiing? And I'm like, no. And she's like, it's sitting down. I'm like, what? That's not a thing. And then we went to Waterville, tried it out a little bit, and now I'm 17 and I still love it. So
You still love it. So did you start in a monoski? Did you start in a
I
bi
started
ski?
in a bi,
Okay.
and
But two
then
skis. Okay.
yeah, 2 skis, and then your dad and one other person wanted me to move on, saying how he cannot learn with a bi. Let's try something else.
And part of that was that you wouldn't be independent, right? On a
I would
bi
not
ski.
be independent.
Right.
with
So
a
then
bi.
on a monoski, you could be independent. What was your thinking when they said that you should move from the bi ski to the monoski? Were you in favor of it?
When you're 7 and you're like, ooh, you're just, your thought process is like, ooh, new thing, I'm in. So
And how did it go? You were in, you were committed.
I was a cardio workout for your dad. He got some steps in.
What do you mean he got some steps in? Was this you
It's
falling
like-
over and he had to come pick you up?
My 77-pound body lifting up, pushing. Fitbit was going nuts.
How did it work though? Do you remember when you got like your first turn in a monoski? You know, I mean that you're falling a lot, but when you get that feeling of the independence that you were looking for, when did that happen? What did that feel like?
I think seeing your dad's red face, even with him huffing and puffing, everybody has the doubts about me, and then he's like, I see something. I see some hope. And that made me feel some hope.
Does that transfer to like the rest of your life? I mean, one of those things like skiing for me was transformational.
Mhm.
It was my ability to share the mountain, to share the outdoors, to share something that I loved with my family, with my friends, to be a peer, to be an equal. How did that change, or did it change the way that you looked at yourself, like at school or any of your other endeavors?
My family is a big skiing family, so it was nice to connect with them in another way, because I can't do football, I can't do the other sports that they do. So I got that down, and it really showed other people that disabled people can do sports, and I love how I can do that just on the slopes, skiing independently.
You're convincing other people. Did you have to convince yourself too, or?
Yeah, falling is not fun. It's not the most motivating, pushing thing. So it's a little 50% team, 50% mental, and then it's all physical at that point.
It gets to be physical. How did that change any of the physical things that you were doing? Did you do training? Were you preparing yourself for the ski season? Were you getting stronger? Were you putting on more than 77 pounds?
Hockey's not the best transition. You should not transition into being a hockey player into a skier, because it is hard, because hockey stops is, like I said, very violent, and ski stops is very smooth. So when you do a hockey stop, when you're trying to do a ski stop, it's literally metaphorically a 360.
You're painting a picture for us here, Liam, that does not sound very comfortable.
My little kid brain was having fun. I'm like, ooh, that's a new direction. I love circles. It's my favorite shape. Second to triangle.
Circles are your second favorite shape to triangles, really? Why is that?
Yeah. Love, it's very unique, and I relate to that.
How old were you when you first started skiing? Were you 7? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 7.
And kept going back and back, and you're 17 now, so 10, 11 years of skiing. Are you pretty good at it now?
I like to say so. Not to toot my own horn, but I can do some blacks here and there. My go-tos are blues, but if I feel a little dangerous, sprinkle in some blacks here and there.
The dangerous side, you said that you're a wrestler. When did the wrestling start?
Wrestling started when skiing started.
So when you were 7.
Yeah, I mean, I really love group aspects. You cannot find the better group of people than wrestlers. It's the nicest community. It's very welcoming. I mean, like everything, there's going to be some heads with a disabled person joining like a majority of able-bodied sports, but it's good.
What was so what prompted you to want to wrestle? I mean, you said it's a great community, but you didn't necessarily know there was a great community before you started, I'm assuming.
I'm part of a big wrestling family.
Ah.
So my cousin wrestles in Lawrence. Shout out to the Crabtrees. Love them. And then we got one other cousin who wrestles for, I want to say, Lawrence.
So that's what brought you to, and are these cousins your age? Are they older? Are they younger?
John is my age. The other one, I'm not as close. He's like a freshman in college.
Freshman in college. Okay, so a little older than you, but not too much older, really. Wow. So wrestling, because wrestling it's a difficult sport, right? And this is
so
one-on-one. It's amazing how tired you can get in those, 3 periods? Is it 3 2-minute periods? Is that what it is?
Yeah. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Amazing how tiring that can be, right?
Exhausting. And when you mess up, it's on you. It's not like football or the defense were off, the offense, the quarterback sucks. And no, it's on you if you mess up. And that's a lot of pressure. But then you hear your coach just yell at you, team clapping, and then you feel a lot better.
It's a team sport too, right? As you said.
Yeah.
So at each weight class, you either have a winner or a loser, and that determines which school ends up winning, right? And so you have a responsibility to the rest of your teammates too, to be good, to go out and win your match and help them get to being the winner of the actual overall thing. So what is that pressure like? Because wrestling is one of those, wrestling, it's an ancient sport, right? Wrestling is mano a mano. Wrestling, boxing, some of these things that are sort of pitting you as an individual, as a person, like what's your strength versus someone else's strength, and there's nowhere to hide out there. What is that pressure like? Do you like that pressure? Is that part of the appeal for you?
My teammate says that wrestling is the only sport that you can lose and still win at the same time. And that's a very motivating quote that every wrestler should follow, because even though you lose, you're still up by a pin. So
So is it a cumulative score? Like if you win 5-3, or if you lose 5-3, it's a 2-point differential.
So
Whereas somebody in another.
pins are 6 points,
Mhm.
forfeits are 6 points. Then if you win by points, it's 2.
It's 2. Okay, so that's how it's going. So pins and forfeits are the most beneficial.
Mhm.
You said you were 77 pounds at 7 years old, so a lot of sevens going on at that time.
Yeah, lucky number.
Lucky number 7. That makes perfect sense. What did you wrestle at this year?
152.
Ooh.
Yeah, very competitive. Lots of 152s out there.
And did you have to, did you have to make weight? Was that something that was difficult for you to get down to 152? Were you having to, I mean, wrestlers often talk about
I
that, not getting to drink, not getting to, sweating it all out, not getting to eat, and then making weight.
my natural weight preseason is 164, and my wrestling season body is 152. So it's a tough at the beginning. It's a lot of working out, and then when I'm there, I'm there.
Really, you don't fluctuate very much in between
No,
matches or anything.
no, not really.
And you finished your season, your wrestling season. Are you getting back up to 164?
I haven't checked.
Okay.
I'm working with the trainer to not get there.
To stay at your wrestling weight, to stay at
Let's,
152.
let's just say I don't look 164.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. And how did the season go? I mean, you talk about the team. For team, how did it go? For you, how did it go?
Sadly, I only got one win this season. Broken nose kind of pushed me back a little bit.
Broken nose.
And,
You didn't mention how did you break your nose? What happened there?
my coach is like, "Hey, Liam, let's practice some moves together." And I'm like, "Okay, awesome, one-on-one time with coach." Who would say no to that? And then we were working on snap downs. I snapped them down.
Snap down. So what's a snap down?
It's in the name. You snap them down. You
Okay.
just what? Like pull. You're grabbing the arms and you bring them down.
Okay.
And so he thinks we're done. I accidentally follow, and we bump heads.
And so you bump heads, but you bumped his head into your nose.
And it was gushing like crazy.
That's just one of those you hear too, don't you? When it happens, it seems really loud in your head.
Yeah. So like we have one of the coach that broke it. He's like, "No, it's not broken. It's fine." And one coach is like, "No, it's broken. It's completely. That's not how noses look." And we got one coach like, "It's just bloody."
So that's it. And did you go into, you said you had surgery. Did you go into surgery right then?
No, I broke the nose Thursday, had surgery Tuesday, and then back to school Thursday.
So you missed effectively a week of school and came back with a nose job.
Pretty much looking stylish. Better.
You look good though. You're looking good.
Thank you.
No one would know. Wow. So what's so with the skiing, with hockey, skiing, wrestling, and then you brought our Nametags program to Andover with your Disability Alliance group at Andover High School. What is the Disability Alliance, group or club? Really, it's more of a club, right?
It's a club at Andover High School, trying to help people understand different disabilities and how to be a better ally. And it's been around for 2 years now.
So is this something that was your idea to
Is
start?
I was at Crumble Cookie with my aunt, and just it started as a shower thought and then into reality.
How did that become reality? I mean, you and your aunt discussed this, and then did you take it to someone in particular at school? Do you bring this to the principal and say, I want to create this club? How does that work? How do you create a club like that?
Like everything, it needs to start off as a planning stage. So we had little bullets. I like this, I like that, I don't like that.
And who's
And
we?
then me and my aunt. Sorry.
Oh, it was the two of you who
Yeah.
were kind of doing the brainstorming part. Okay.
And then we say this works, that doesn't work, and then eventually get a smaller idea, which I then introduce to my principal, and then he's like, "That's awesome. You just gotta find a teacher to be the executive of the club." And right away I knew who I wanted, and he was in right away. And then I filled out the form, and bada bing, bada boom.
And who was that teacher, and why did he appeal to you?
He is my chemistry and physics teacher, Mr. Bledsoe, and I love his energy. He complimented on his lash.
He has one of the biggest, heartiest laughs that I have ever. I mean, that was what we probably had 1,000 kids in the auditorium, and his laugh echoed through the whole place.
His presence is just it's mind blowing what he can do with his voice, and I need that voice in my club. I need that energy.
And what did he say when you asked him if he would be the teacher representative for the club?
He first thought it was already a club, because it's such a good idea, that he's shocked that no one else has come up with this. And then I'm like, no, I've looked at all the clubs, and he's like, oh, that's weird. I'm in. It's very easy to start a club.
Really easy to start a club.
Really easy.
And now who else is in the club? I mean, it's not just people with disabilities, I'm assuming, right?
We are very diverse. We're mostly football kids. I kind of played ourselves and directed into Andover moms, and then some person in Andover moms got me into the local newspaper, and then lots of football moms read that and then tell their kids. So it's mostly football kids with different disabilities, and then not even disabilities.
And I'm assuming it's both male and female as well, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's majority male. Trying to work on the female aspect, but not there yet.
Not there yet. But you did originate this with your aunt, so you certainly have a lot of female influence and buy-in, especially in the beginning. What kinds of things do you do? I mean, obviously you were instrumental in organizing, getting me to come to your school, and wrote a tremendous email to some of the leadership, the principal and vice principal, talking about the merits of why you thought we should come here. Is that part of what you're doing, is seeing opportunities and ways to connect the audience to some of your mission and to really make an impact? Or how do you move forward? How do you approach it?
Guest speakers is a big part of the club, for sure, and that takes time. We're trying to get into group services, working with different nonprofits, and so I get tons of numbers from different nonprofits that want to work, and then they go, and then the ghost me. So that's hard to manage. Like when your heart is there and you really want to work, and then you got tons of other factors that hurt, and it's very hard to manage, because you got tons of nonprofits that want to talk to you, and then they don't, and then you got wrestling, and then you got homework, and then you got to manage 100 kids. But it's very but what I can do is very fulfilling.
Well, and I think that also, I mean, this is such a big part of your education too, right? Obviously, you're going to school, you're doing your classwork, you're playing your sports, but at the same time, this club is your connection in some ways to the real world too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been able to look at that as part of your education? Because there is that frustration of, this group should be affiliated with us or should help us out or whatever, but then not being able to get them on board the way that you think you should. It's that frustration moving forward. How do you look at it?
It's very eye-opening getting into social politics, just like local politics. It's which is an aspect that most club beginners don't really think about, but it plays a big factor, that local politic aspect of it.
Now, is this part of the reason that, because you've been doing an internship with Congressman Moulton for a while?
Yeah.
Is that part of why you wanted to get involved in that? And you said a 2-year internship. What does that entail? What are you doing?
So we meet once a month, talk about what's going on in Congress and the federal government, and we try and talk about different policy ideas to bring to Seth, trying to get the youth aspect. So one month is education, 1 month is transportation. And it's like a group of 15 kids.
Group of 15 kids. How did this come about? Did you have to apply to be an intern? Did you write an essay? How did that work?
I filled out a form. I learned it from my school, sent out a big email, filled out the form, and then a couple days later, I got an email from Seth Moulton saying how he likes my profile and I'm in.
And what do you feel that you have to offer to a group? You're one of 15 students. What kind of a voice do you bring?
I'm the only one with like a physical disability, so I can speak on that. It's a very it's a very small fraction that most people don't think about in politics.
Well, it's small and it's not, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
International Paralympic Committee, their whole ad campaign was about 15% of the population, right? That 15% of the population has a physical disability. And in the world, that's 1.2 billion people. So it's small, and probably small in the way that in some ways it's like
It's mind-blowing how
noticed.
much people have a physical disability and how much people who don't think about physical disabilities, because it's the same number.
Right. And so your job is to help them think about people with disabilities. Is that your job as you see it?
Yeah, I if there's a person that says this thing, I'm like, that doesn't really align with ADA or anything disabilities. Here's my take, or like that does fit with my beliefs, but here is how we would make it more accessible. There's many different topics that align with disabilities, but most people think it doesn't align. Like, for example, the environment plays a big part in disabilities, and people don't really think about that aspect. And I'm there to give that other side.
To give that other side, that other kind of opinion. What do you see? Like, it's kind of an interesting situation, right? Because you have school, you have your club, you have your sports, but this is again, I mean, more so than the club, this is in the real world. What kind of skills do you feel like you have to bring to the meetings, to the topics, in order to really help the team?
It's helping my public speaking. There's some things that I got to work on, but it helps a lot, and it helps big time on my time management. That still it's a lot of things that needs improvement. There's some cadence issues here and there, and there's some, like, my binder's a mess, but different factors play a big part into little things.
You're starting to see, what it sounds like is you're starting to see where some of these things could really benefit you in places that you want to put some effort to make yourself a more viable member of the team. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So even though athletics is very different from South Milton, I picked different pieces from athletics to bring to South Milton, and I bring different pieces to my club and bring it to wrestling.
You talked about your public speaking. What are you doing to improve your public speaking? How do you work on that? Because that's what 95% of the people in the world or something like that consider speaking in public to be scarier than death, right? I mean, it's a fairly scary thing.
Like, I'm still a kid with a New England accent, and it's not the most proper of cadences. So I'm like, water, not water, butter. And it's just like, I really gotta focus on these little details and completely drop my kid voice, because my kid voice does not match up to my public speaking voice, and it's very hard. Sometimes I slip up a little bit, so I apologize, but like, I'm trying my best.
No, this is awesome, but it is hard, right? I mean, with your club, you have a teacher representative. With your wrestling, you have a coach. Speaking is something that needs that kind of input as well, right? Are you?
Yeah, I'm only 17 and I'm talking to thousands of people.
So do you
And
have a coach?
no, I'm trying to find people, trying to build my resources.
What about just in watching? I've found that to be helpful. Obviously, Seth Moulton is a really charismatic speaker. Is that something that you learn from being around him, from watching him as
I'm a
well?
very observant person, so I pick up different hints and like different bits and pieces of other people's voices. So my brother Ben talks very different from my brother Aiden, for example, and I blend them together and get this voice.
This voice, which it's also important to have your unique voice too, right? I mean, that's often the challenge, is trying to take what you like from other people, but then also make it your own. And so,
I really gotta focus on my voice. So when I speak, I'm like, I don't really like that. If I say this again, I'll phrase it like this way. And then if that doesn't work, it's very checking the boxes. That's how I think of most things.
it really is. And is there a time frame that you're looking at? You said you're 17, you're looking at colleges right now. What's the time frame for you? Do you say, well, I want to be at this place by this time, I want to continue to work on it, I want to find opportunities to work on it? How do you approach in a lot of ways, what's a lifetime skill where you can continue to improve throughout your lifetime?
I find that I'm not to have a big head or anything or show my ego, but I'm at a higher point than most kids at I like, no one at my age is talking to thousands of people. No one's doing this podcast at this age. So I am at a good start. I'm at a good basis. So if we can grab teachers and grab different books and videos, I want to get a better cadence that matches that, like a consistent cadence that I don't gotta adjust by freshman year of college.
That by freshman year of college. So you're a junior right now, you're starting to look at schools, you'll apply to schools next year, and then go to college. That's the plan, right?
That's the plan. My voice, I have like 5 different voices and it switches like that, and it's a fun little game. And I just want one good solid voice, and that's it.
Just one good.
If that makes sense to you.
Right. And the interesting part about that too is that once you get there, then there's going to be something else that you're going to need to do, right?
Mhm.
Which is always fun.
I don't know.
So yeah, so the public speaking part. What are the other parts that you take out of this internship too? Like seeing how laws are made, seeing how an individual can help shape the lives of many people. I don't know. What are the other things that you're taking from this internship?
I was very into politics, like prior, so it means a lot to actually be a part of this, and it's very mind opening to see what's going on. Because some kids have like better ideas than most Congress people, and that's all and that's fun to hear. I'm like, why is this person not thinking of this? You are 15 and speaking better than person in their 30s.
The people who are running our country. Why do you think that that's the case? That someone at 15 years old can have better ideas than someone who's running the country?
It's a beautiful question. It's a lovely question. I think technology plays a big aspect. We have more resources than that 30-year-old in Congress. So we can do more research, and all they got is their little bubble of their non-diverse town.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that as a result of technology, you have the ability to see a lot more.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that it's also more personal in some ways too, right?
Yeah, I can pick who I want to hear, and I can pick what resources. Like if I'm feeling a little liberal today, I can go to CNN, and if I feel a little bit conservative and I want to hear those points, I can always go to the Daily Wire or something. And if you are in the in your 30s or something, all you got is your little town, and that's with the same talking points.
So as you're getting older then, because we're all getting older, right? I mean, with every second, we're all getting older. How can you ensure that you keep an open mind, that you can continue to see a variety of different viewpoints and still maintain that personal connection to what's important?
You really want to have that, and if you really want to, you can do it. And if you really don't want to, it's very easy to still be like that little bubble 40, 30 something year old.
But are there
So
specific techniques? I mean, desire is one part, but it seems like it can be really easy to go down a route where you feel like you're getting more and more informed,
mhm.
but it might be less open-minded potentially.
Yeah, just talk to people. People very love to talk about their beliefs, and I can say this personally because I love talking about my beliefs.
About your what?
But beliefs,
Your
I
beliefs, right?
yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Like
That's your
like I
beliefs.
said, my kidness kicked in. But yeah, everybody's very open. If you really push for
Do you
those conversations.
do you have an easy time talking to a variety of different people? I think that that can be a challenge for a lot of people, you know, that talking to people who aren't necessarily just like you.
Um, it takes practice to get that mindset of not being afraid, and it's very like I can't give ways to be more open because my versions of being more open is very much me, and it does not work for other people. So even though I want to help people break out of their shell, I can do it, just not in that way.
Okay. What do you consider the impediments? I mean, in some ways, like our reasons for talking to someone, I mean, you and I are in a similar situation in some ways, right? In that oftentimes the disability part of our lives is really visible. And we can get questions that aren't necessarily the questions that we want to answer. You know, we can get condescension, we can get pity, we can get you know, short-sightedness, some of these things. Are some of those, are you more empathetic, open-minded when talking with someone new because of that education that's in some ways been foisted upon you?
The early stages of life, I had that annoyance. I'm like, oh, this question again. And then you get older and then you're like, oh, this question again. I'm a pro at answering this question. It's so just maturity.
So just maturity and being able to comprehend that question and answer it in a way that is meaningful for you, where sometimes the question isn't necessarily as thoughtful as the answer. Is that some of what you're saying?
Like the same age that asked me as a kid is the same age that is asking me as a teen. It's still these little preschoolers. So I can't really be mean to them if I want to.
Well, I mean, but part of it is that you have to educate people as well, right? I mean, and in some ways that for us is a particular kind of deal, but at the same time, it really is the case for all of us as human beings to be able to try to connect and educate and be seen for who we are and be able to see people for who they want to be as well. So
Ooh.
can we switch it up just a little bit? Can I ask you 5 quick questions? So you can't take longer than a minute to answer any of these questions.
Gotcha. On my feet. Gotcha.
You're on your feet. You're ready to go. Okay, I am ready to go. So we're talking to Liam Flanagan, who is going to answer our 5 questions coming off of his wrestling career. What inspired you today, Liam?
I had a very good breakfast burrito.
You had a really good.
And the weather.
And the weather. What's the weather like?
It's very sunny. It's a little bit windy here and there, but the sun is very and also my cousin Brent is my little ride and getting me ready for the day. Love him.
All right. What's the best way to stick up for people?
The best way to stick up for people is to, you can't really do stuff when the bullying is happening. Other people can, but that's not how I roll. So I talk to the after effect. So I talk about to the person who gets bullied and get their vent. I'm the venter. I'm the person who gets the vent.
They can vent to you.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
So that's the best way. So in helping to encourage them, I'm assuming.
Just listen is a big portion of.
Yeah. Well, we don't listen as much as we should, right?
Pretty much. People love to talk.
We do. That's for sure. Has there been a most influential book that you've read this year, and why?
This year, not so much. So I can't find any books right now. I don't know why.
No? Okay. What, but in the past, has there been a book that's been really influential for you?
There is a great book called Out of My Mind, and it is about this kid with CP. She's in 7th grade, and she is paralyzed and cannot speak. And it kind of goes through her life with CP. It's very eye-opening. As a person with CP, I've never really seen or heard the spectrum of it.
Mhm.
So I could really relate, even though I'm on the other end of the spectrum.
Even though, yeah, so she couldn't walk, she couldn't speak, and you're
Yeah.
on the other end of the spectrum. Did even though you're on the other end of the spectrum, did you feel like that book spoke for you too?
Yeah. We're going through the same conversations with other people, and we're basically going through the same stuff, just in different ways.
Just in different ways, exactly. All right. So you said you haven't had as much time for books this year. Have you had time for movies? Do you have a favorite movie, one that really speaks to you?
I love Little Miss Sunshine. It's a classic. I feel all the emotions in that movie. I feel joy. I feel sadness. It makes me cry. It makes me laugh, and I love it.
And can you give us a little bit of a synopsis of what Little Miss Sunshine's about?
It's about this kid who lives in Kentucky and gets into this competition in California and needs to go on this little road trip with her dysfunctional family, and little arguments happen here and there, and eventually they get to the pageant.
They get to the pageant, and you probably don't want to give away the ending so that people will watch it.
It's not the best overview, but that's what happens. It's just like family dynamic of issues, and then you get some character growth throughout the trip.
We've talked a little bit about your CP, about some of the learning process, the learning of the monoski. Has your disability given you anything in your life? I mean, you often hear about what it's taken away from you, but has it given you anything?
I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't have the disability. I wouldn't do the things that I would do. It's very motivating. I wouldn't be on Seth Moulton because I don't have the perspective that I have and the ideas that I have. I wouldn't I wouldn't really be as motivated if I was so able-bodied. That's not
Does the unique nature, this is just a follow-up. I was only going to ask you 5, but this is a follow-up to that one. Does the unique nature of your perspective help you to represent, like say with a Seth Moulton, does it help you to represent people in general in a better way?
I like to think I'm representing people in a good manner, but there's so many spectrums of disabilities. So I have CP and other person also has CP and can't speak and talk. So I don't think about those factors, but I can think in broader terms, and I can still talk about these things in
Yeah.
an effective manner.
Exactly. No, that's great. And the struggle of being a human being, right? I mean, we see it in different ways, but at the same time, we all have our challenges along the way. Liam, thank you so much for taking time out of your college tour to talk with us. It's just been a great time to get to talk to you. Really appreciate it.
Always. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing me to your school this past year. That was amazing. I mean, 1,000 kids.
It was a great time. I'm glad that we could get that many people.
Many people. It was amazing, and you have to give yourself a pat on the back for making that happen. That's, as a 17-year-old, that is something to galvanize 1,000 kids in your school.
Definitely something to put on the college resume.
I think it is. I think it's your college resume, but I think it's more so your life resume. This is continuing to build your life. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you to all of you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed your time with us. The greatest gift you can give us is to tell your friends. Please tell your friends to tune in. Please like us. Please follow us. Please subscribe. And we will continue to bring you great content. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.